Thanks, guys. Yeah, I'm excited about this segment. We have Ashish Malik with us, CEO and president of Bee Vectoring Technologies, an ag tech firm that's listed here in Toronto on the TSX Venture Exchange. BEE, the symbol. You can also find it on the OTCQB. BEVVF is the symbol down in the US on OTC markets. This is a fascinating topic, not only in the world we live in today, but in general, when it comes to so many people focused on health, so many people focused on where their food is coming from in this day and age. And a lot of people talk a lot about genetically modified crops that are affecting health across the board. This company has a potential and a technology here that could change that. So very happy to have Ashish with us. Great to see you once again, Ashish. Why don't you give everyone just an overview to start of the company and the technology we're talking about?
Yeah, hi, Brendan. Very nice to be with you today. I just want to make one small correction. We're traded on the CSE, not the TSXV, but the symbol's still the same. So we are an ag tech company, and what we're trying to solve or help solve is a fundamental problem that as a society we have to face, which is how do we feed a growing population, right? So we're going to be approaching almost 10 billion people in the next decade or so in this that walk the planet, but feed that growing population in an environmentally responsible way. So today, ag is the largest user of fresh water of any industry, one of the largest emitters of greenhouse gases. And as consumers, we want to see farmers change their practices to more sustainable practices. So we are we have a technology or a series of technologies that can help address some of these challenges by producing more crops with a less environmental impact. So do more with less. What we specifically have in our portfolio are alternatives to chemical pesticides. Very specifically, we've got all natural biological control agents. And we also have on the other half of our IP, a technology which is an alternative to spraying. So we can eliminate the use of heavy tractors, a lot of water that's used to spray products onto crops by using managed beehives. And you see some pictures here, bumblebee hives and honeybee hives, to deliver these biological control agents in a very precise way to the crop and help the farmer produce a crop with less disease, less pests, and ultimately less chemicals, which is what we all want as consumers.
And as you said, using bees, which I find absolutely fascinating. Why don't you give everyone a little bit of an idea of how this works exactly when you're using something that's found in nature on a daily basis and that can deliver something that is going to be beneficial on the farming and ag side?
Sure, and let me first start by saying, I don't know how many people kind of realize this, but there's about 3.5 million, I'm just giving you some not much statistics for the United States. This is where we are commercial today. In the US, there's something like 3.5 million commercial beehives that are used by farmers to pollinate their crops. So we're talking about crops like blueberries, strawberries, almonds, apples, cherries, sunflowers, oil crops, and so on and so forth. So we work with those commercial beehives, not the wild beehives, or not the beehives that people may keep as hobbyists in their gardens. And through those commercial beehives, we have engineered dispensing technology through which these bee-safe biological control agents are carried by the bees as they visit the crop for pollination. So one of the things that you need to remember is that for the bees, the flower represents their food source. So bees leave their beehive to forage, to look for, pollen and nectar, which are sources of protein and energy for the hive. And through that flight that the bees are making from the hive to the flower, they carry this bee-safe biological control agent to the crop. They deliver it to the flower, and in the return journey, the bees bring back the pollen for the hive. So it's a very natural process that happens in nature every single day on every single flowering crop. And we have leveraged that natural process and developed our dispensing technology to fit within that.
The obvious next question here is, how do the two compare? So if we're used to seeing those giant arms that typically spray fields with God knows what, how does it compare on a coverage basis? from a spray application to what the company is trying to do with bees.
Yeah, and the analogy that we use is you can pretty much get the same control of the disease using a teaspoon of product as opposed to gallons of tank mixed chemical pesticides. And the reason it works is if you think about that spray arm or that boom arm, and you imagine the tractor, or in some cases airplanes and crop dusters still spray these products onto the crops. Think about you're spraying over the top. What percentage of what you're spraying actually comes to the flower? Well, if you look at it, it's only 1 or 2% of what you're spraying. So the rest of the product, in a sense, is wasted, right? It gets into the water runoff or in the air drift, and it doesn't go to where the farmer needs it to go. Whereas in our system, for the bees, their destination is the flower. So in terms of precision application and very effective and efficient application, you can't beat the bees in terms of getting the product to where it needs to be.
So what are next steps here for the company as we continue to expand here? What's the next step naturally for commercialization and further business model for bee vectoring?
Yeah, for sure. So we are, we operate in an industry which is regulated, and in the U.S., the regulatory agency is the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA. In Canada, it's Health Canada. The PMRA is out of Health Canada. So for us, getting licensed to operate is a key milestone. And so we've already got that in the U.S. And in fact, in the U.S., we've been selling our system for 3 years. So continued penetration into the U.S. market is one element of our strategy. But more importantly, and what we're really excited about is the expansion. We call it expanding our addressable market. So getting that license to operate in other geographies. We've submitted in Canada, so we're in the review process. We have submitted in Mexico. We're in the review process. We will be submitting in the European Union in the either end of 23 or early 24. So that's one element of our expansion strategy. The other element of our expansion strategy is to take the biological control agent that we have and develop it for crops and application systems where bees are not used. So we have a technology that can go on 300 million acres of soybeans that are planted worldwide, and that's through a seed coating. And so we're developing that use. So our expansion will come through milestones associated with expanding addressable markets, but also through strategic partnerships, which we're working on.
For those wondering, from a natural standpoint, because this is, a natural application of the product, is it possible, I guess, two-part question, is it possible for something to be reverse engineered in this sense? And what protections does the company have against that?
Yeah, so theoretically, yes. Theoretically, you can, reverse engineer the microbe that we have. But that's where our patent portfolio plays such an important role. We have over 55 patents that have been granted to us, covering 3 areas of technology, all the way from the dispensing technology to the product itself. It's our CR7, Cholestacus rosea strain CR7, and the formulations through which that microbe works together with the bees, allows the product to stick to the bees. So yes, there are people that could theoretically develop something similar, but they would be infringing our patents. So we have a very strong competitive advantage through the IP portfolio that the company has been able to gain.
As I mentioned, I find this topic absolutely fascinating. If anyone who is interested in health and interested in where their food is coming from should as well. Again, BEEE listed on the CSE primarily here in Toronto, guys. BEVVF on the OTC markets down in New York. Ashish Malik is president and CEO of Bee Vectoring Technologies. It's a fascinating topic, as I mentioned. I, for one, will be watching with much interest. Good to see you.
Thanks, Brendan. Take care. Bye-bye.